Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 17th, 2026 Middle Mile Advisory Committee meeting. Thank you to the committee members, presenters, partners, and members of the public joining us today. It's been an exciting quarter as we tripled the operational reach of the network and today celebrate 1,250 miles of operational California fiber. Not only are we lighting fiber, we're lighting the Open for Business sign on California's Middle Mile network. My name is Chris Given, Director of the California Department of Technology. I want to begin by recognizing the work that has brought the program to this point. This committee has helped guide a landmark infrastructure investment with a clear purpose, expanding access to reliable, affordable broadband and helping close the digital divide for communities across the state. I also want to acknowledge the leadership of former Director Liana Bailey-Crimmins as she guided this initiative while she kept the focus on people, service, and outcomes. It has also been a privilege to work alongside Chief Deputy Director Jared Johnson as we continue into this next phase. Today's meeting reflects an important transition for the Middle Mile network as we move from construction to commerce. Significant routes are available for connection, and the operator is now in place to support service delivery. You also hear updates on permitting, construction, HUT installation, customer agreements, and continued coordination with FFA and tribal partners. These areas remain critical to expanding operational availability and continue to move the network towards service for communities across California. There's still significant work ahead, but today's updates reflect tremendous progress being made through coordination across CDT, Caltrans, CPUC, Golden State Net, Skyline, tribal partners, local governments, providers, and stakeholders. We appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. We will now get started with roll call. You'll hear brief comments from members, then hear project updates and public comments. Ms. Alvarado, would you please call roll and review the meeting housekeeping items?
Thank you, Chair. Housekeeping rules statement. Attendees, please note there is a time reserved at the end of the meeting for public comment. Public comments are received for the record. The committee will not be providing responses during the meeting. Presenters, please cue Christine to advance your slides by saying next slide. And committee members, please use the raise hands feature on Zoom to cue the chair to call you to speak. Now, committee member roll call. Chair Given.
Present.
Secretary Medeiros.
Luis Larios on behalf of Secretary Medeiros.
President Reynolds.
Here.
Chief Deputy Director Peralt.
Rosanna Wen here for Michelle Peralt.
Director Al Tawanzi.
Good morning. Corey Benz here on behalf of Dina El Tawanzi.
Senator Gonzalez.
Kristen Milstein here on behalf of Senator Gonzalez.
Senator Caballero.
Daniel Banru here on behalf of Senator Caballero.
Assemblymember Berner. Assemblymember Aguirre Curry. Supervisor Alejo.
Present on Zoom.
Supervisor Starkey. Chair, we have a quorum.
We now call the July 17th, 2026 Middle Mile Advisory Committee meeting to order. Are there any committee members who would like to provide brief comments before we move to the project updates? Seeing none, thank you so much. With that overview, I would like to turn things over to Mark Monroe, MMBI Deputy Director of the Department of Technology.
All right, thank you and good morning. The Chair and members, Mark Monroe, Deputy Director for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative here at CDT. As usual, we're excited to talk about the team's continued progress on this important project. This morning, we're especially pleased to share several key milestones that demonstrate the progress this team has made in delivering the services this network was built to provide. First, in terms of progress on the project, more than 80% of the statewide network has been permitted, including almost 800 additional miles permitted just since this last March. Also, fiber construction has reached the 50% mark statewide with 336 additional miles of fiber completed since March. And we are in full production on the HUTs as well. These HUTs are key for enabling the route activation. Caltrans has completed its design work on all of the on right-of-way huts, and we now have 50 huts in construction across the state, including 33 new huts since April. While we are pleased about the continued progress on deploying this infrastructure, the purpose we've all been looking forward to is being able to actually have service to connect California communities Since we last met, the Middle Mile broadband network has officially shifted into operational readiness and active service. Skyline Technology Solutions has been fully onboarded as the network operator and is now responsible for service activation, network monitoring, incident response, and maintenance and coordination. Almost 1,300 miles across the statewide network are now operational and available for providers and communities to connect. And I'm pleased to announce that CDT has signed its first set of master service agreements to start serving 8 FFA locations starting later this year as the FFA projects are completed. This really sums up my executive report out. We'll hear more about this progress this morning, but I really wanted to acknowledge the work of the MMBI team here at CDT, as well as that of our partners in getting to this point and making all of this happen. From the building of partnerships with FFA awardees, the TPA and the operator, and all of our RFI Squared partners, to finalizing all of the associated agreements, this MMBI team has worked exceptionally hard over the past 5 years in their commitment to get to this point. So I really want to acknowledge all of their initiative, creativity, hard work, and sustained effort. Thank you.
Do any committee members have questions about Mr. Monroe's executive report? Seeing none. Our next agenda item is the California Department of Technology updates. This section begins with an update from Mr. Mark Monroe, who will provide CDT's project-specific updates. Following Mr. Monroe's update, we will hear from our operator, Mr. David Parsha of Skyline Technology Solutions, from Mr. Eric Hunzinger and Mr. Matt Rantanen of Golden State Net, our third-party administrator, and from several members of the CDT team, including Ms. Mackenzie Shea, Mr. Shannon Martin Guzman, and Ms. Monica Hernandez. We'll hear a project overview from Mr. Hector De La Torre, Executive Director of the Gateway City Council of Governments on the Gateway City's regional fiber network. We'll pause periodically to give committee members an opportunity to ask questions. With that, I'd like to turn it back to Mr. Monroe to begin the CDT project updates.
Yes, thank you very much. At this past January MMAC, CDT had outlined some key goals it had set for 2026, and we wanted to provide an update on our progress. First, the completed items on the left here show a major transition from the program. Skyline has been onboarded, active operations are underway, service agreements are being executed, and initial operational miles are now available for connection. Similarly, the on-track items on the right show the work that continues to support broader activation, including HUTs, construction progress, and FFA and tribal coordination. The first accomplishment is that the operator has been selected and onboarded. Skyline Technologies Solutions is now in place, and active network operations are underway. That is foundational for the program because the operator was needed to support service delivery as more routes become available. Second, the first service agreements are being executed. Early customer opportunities are now moving into CDT service agreements, including execution of the first FFA master service agreements. This is an important step because it moves the program from customer interest and planning into formal service relationships. Third, we now have almost 1,300 operational miles, as we've noted, including more than 800 additional operational miles since the last time we met in April. This is one of the clearest indicators that the network is no longer just in the construction phase. Portions of the network are now operational and available for connection. On the right side, on the on-track items reflect other goals CDT committed to in 2026. We are on track to maintain these commitments as well to expand that operational footprint as promised. HUD installation is in progress, is progressing. HUD placement, utility coordination, and electronics work are all advancing to support operations. We have discussed, as we've discussed before, HUTs are a critical part of the network because these are required to convert installed fiber into service-ready infrastructure. We have also established the current 2026 construction forecast. CDT forecasts approximately 5,300 miles being constructed by year end, representing about 65% of the network. And of this, CDT plans to have 4,300 miles activated and ready to provide service to the FFA projects as they become ready. And finally, FFA and tribal activation work continues to advance, as you'll hear more about from Matt Rantanen in just a few minutes. Agreements are being coordinated and executed to support tribal connectivity and FFA project connections. Support of these communities remains central to the purpose of the network, making middle mile capacity available to the communities that need it. So the overall story we want to tell this morning is one focused on operational momentum. The operator is in place, the first agreements are executed, operational miles are available, and the remaining work is continuing to move through the pipeline. Next slide. The operations update is where we can see the transition most clearly. As I've noted, operational routes are now available for communities to connect to the MMBN. And the green route here on the map represents the July 2026 operational segments, while the gray lines show where broader MMBI network development is currently underway. The operational segment runs from San Jose down along the coast to Los Angeles, east out to Barstow, up the eastern side of the state, connecting to a data center in Reno, before going up to the Oregon border. Again, this is where the network has moved from construction into active service availability. Skyline Technology Solutions began its operation of the network on July 6th of this year. Their role includes the day-to-day functions needed to support service delivery, including network monitoring, maintenance coordination, incident response, and operational support for active routes. This is really a significant milestone for the program. We will, of course, continue reporting on permitting and construction, but we are now also reporting on operational availability and customer connections. As we like to say, the state network is now open for business. As we move further into operations, I'd like to introduce David Parsha of Skyline Technology Solutions. As I've mentioned, Skyline is now serving as the network operator, and David will provide Skyline's perspective on operational readiness, service delivery, and the work underway to support the MMBN as routes become available for connection. Mr. Parsha.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you to the committee, and thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief overview of Skyline Technology Solutions and our operational approach. We are extremely grateful for the opportunity to work with CDT, with GSN, and their customers to contribute to the success of this initiative. Next slide, please. A little bit about Skyline. We're an integrated IT services company. We've been focused on providing mission-oriented technology solutions for state agencies and counties over the history of our company. It's been the last 20 years. We provide consulting, implementation, and operational services to our national customer base. We have a heavy focus on collaborating with state agencies across the country to optimize how their fiber and network infrastructures are leveraged to support agency and county technology services. And for us, that spans across being able to enhance government services, intelligent transportation systems, public safety, education, economic development, and broadband for unserved and underserved communities. All of those needs are important in every state, and that infrastructure can be leveraged in a number of different ways. We have managed and operated the Maryland's infrastructure for the past 20 years. Over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, that work has attracted the attention of a number of other states. We have developed a comprehensive operational approach. We have a very deep bench of operational talent, and we've established a proactive operational posture to provide outsized value for our public sector customers, which include states like Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, to name a few. We are well known and sought out for our focus on outsized customer service and communication, as well as collaborating with our customers to improve sustainability and reliability of the infrastructures. It's important to note in California that our operational capabilities extend beyond network operations. In California, our background in fiber asset management, fiber locating, understanding fiber design and engineering, as well as our background in the work that we do in physical security, have direct impact on our ability to provide successful infrastructure operations. Next slide, please. A little bit more about our operational approach and our operations team. We've established a team of roughly 50 operations engineers and technicians, and we've honed our craft over the last 20 years. We provide all levels of operational support across multiple technologies and multiple tiers of expertise that we have in that operations team, from NOC technicians to senior operations engineers and architects. Most of the resources that we have work in and with our network operations center, which uses a model of dedicated customer support staff, i.e. the California team, and a hybrid support model to handle the most complex troubleshooting or significant infrastructure changes. And those things include customer communication, change management, and engineering implementations. The approach that we take on the Consolidated Network Operations Center and team allow us to create efficient delivery of high-quality services. And having that integrated team working closely together is critical to resolving infrastructure issues quickly. We also realize it's extremely important to augment our core operations center with local staff where we work. So our local staff grows with the programs we manage and operate. We feel it's critical to have local teams that work with our core operations team, and those local teams work with our end customers to ensure that they are receiving the expected level of responsiveness, communication, and value from the services that we provide. In California specifically, our local staffing profile will grow with the infrastructure and include service delivery, customer success, and engineering support staff. And it's relatively seamless for us to be able to integrate that new staff into our team because of the depth and breadth of the work that we have done and that team, but also the countless onboarding exercises we've done over the last 20 years. So thanks again for the opportunity to share a little bit about Skyline and our operational approach. Again, we are very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this initiative. Before we move on the agenda, if folks don't mind, I'd love to share a little bit about our perspectives of the Middle Mile Initiative. It's really based on watching literally MMAC meetings and reading about what's happening out here because we were all very excited at Skyline when this initiative started because we think it's important not just for California but for the rest of the country to adopt models like this. And then as from the interactions that we've had with the CDT and GSN teams over the last 2 months. It's been a great experience so far. The teams have been a joy to work with from our standpoint. They have embraced us, the knowledge sharing, the collaboration, and there's a true sense of partnership, which was established very early on. But what really struck me is that as I speak to folks on the CDT team or on the GSN team, to a person, they all bring passion, belief, and commitment to this initiative. And from my experience nationally, that is abnormal. It's not something that we generally see. You've got a ton of people that are actively engaged, committed, believe, and working on this in an aligned way every day. And I think that's, personally with limited context, it's one of the reasons you guys are having the success that you have. And then last comment around this is I mentioned I watched a lot of MMAC meetings. The progress I see is commendable, and the support and engagement from the committee as I watch the meetings has been great. I mean, it's been commendable. And personally speaking, I speak to legislators, I speak to broadband offices, I speak to state agencies around the country, and I'm really hoping that they learn from what California has done. I think it's an imperative to do that. And I understand the bold initiatives and decisions that have been made and the legislation that has been passed, and it has not gone unnoticed in other states. We get questions about it now, right? How did they do this? How do we do this? How do we make this happen? And the commitment and collaboration on this initiative, I believe, from our experience around the country, and especially in Maryland, will enable economic development and education, as well as a host of other benefits for years to come. So thank you to everyone for all of your leadership, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much, David. CDT really appreciates all the work you and Skyline and the Skyline team have done in the past few months to help us get to this point of operational readiness. It's been a great partnership. Next, we'll get an update from Eric Hunsinger of Golden State Net, who will talk through its role as the TPA and how this is in sync with Skyline's role as the operator. So with that, I'll turn it over to Eric.
Yes, hi, Eric Hunsinger, with President of Golden State Net. First, let me apologize, Director, to you and to the committee. After 20 of these meetings, I finally had a personal event that required me to be out of the country, and apparently Zoom does not recognize that country as being a good place to do business from, so I can't join you by video. Hopefully, the auditory is acceptable. If anybody can confirm that you can hear me.
We can hear you, Eric.
Yes? Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. My next slide, I believe, it should be a sales slide that you're viewing. I just want to point out, we've reviewed this before, but we have been steadily working to build a sales funnel, predominantly in the commercial environment. Commercial buyers, carriers, hyperscalers, folks that need telecom infrastructure for their usage. Are you on the MOU slide or the sales slide? My understanding is the sales slide should be first.
MOU slide.
Okay, all right. I apologize. I can't see what you're up to. So we've worked with Skyline and CDT to draw out clear responsibilities with the MOU. This was an imperative in the partnership. We've been for 5.5 years working through the partnership program with Caltrans, CDT, and GSN in the designing, planning phase, engineering phase. And as we move into the operational piece, leveraging the staffing and expertise that Skyline has is integral to the success of the program. And so it was an imperative that we understand how each organization can work together, but not overlap in function. And so CDT has kind of guided both organizations through that process, and we've established a means for performance validation, monitoring, and escalation, ensuring that commercial operation is a priority. We want a viable network that maintains confidence in users, and so we can attract more buyers. GSN owns the initial customer-facing function and upfront sales efforts. So we're developing opportunities, as we'll talk about here in a moment, structuring contracts that are in agreement with state statutory guidelines, as well as managing the MSAs and service orders. In addition to that, we'll help develop the structure of solving the customer's needs with laterals and connectivity requirements, whether it's quantities of fiber or lit infrastructure on the network, and tying that into the last mile. And once that is complete, we then hand that over to Skyline, who incorporates those services and activates the service for ensuring customer satisfaction. In addition to that, we will also be supporting the technical and field coordination, moving opportunities from conversation to delivery, and taking down revenue as the funnel grows and builds from our efforts in marketing. I believe that. Can we move to the next slide, which should be the sales slide?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So we've seen these numbers before, that they're growing. We continue to build on interest in the network, and there's a substantial amount of interest, both from carriers and hyperscalers and even large entities, large Fortune 500 entities that want to use the network for their own commercial purposes. We are trying to find opportunities in all commercial sectors. In addition to that, of course, we're reserving fiber infrastructure for the purposes of broadband in communities around the state, and we continue to have those conversations as well. So one of the key areas that commercial buyers evaluate when they are deciding to spend their money in cash reserves is the timing of completion of the network. And as we know, by and large, the network should be mostly finished this year, with some of it extending into next year. But it's the huts that are a key integral point of running the network. You have to have that electricity in order to power the equipment and amplify circuits across the network. So the pipeline reflects those commercial opportunities, but the delay in execution is really around functionality of the network. So the middle mile only generates revenue when it connects the last mile pieces of the locations that they select for their network needs, as well as having those huts in to power the network. We have a number of sizable active opportunities that are linked specifically to segments that are still under construction. And so we continue to work with those potential customers in understanding the timing so that they can make the commitment when they're ready to do so. Huts are a vital part of the infrastructure. They're a key activation point on the network. Dark fiber sales are specific to the final termination points, that is, everything that's in the last mile. As a reminder, this is a middle mile network. So the last mile piece requires design and engineering and construction. But then, in addition to that, huts have to be available for those buyers of dark fiber. In addition, we're talking to commercial entities that are interested in the lit service portion of the network. Much of the communities around the state that are interested in backhaul don't want to use dark fiber to go 200 miles. They want lit service. And so the lit platform is going to help them reduce their overall cost of connecting to the rest of the internet world. But there are commercial carriers that also want to just use lit infrastructure, whether it's 100 gig or even 400 gig backhaul. So equipment needs to be co-located in each hut. All the interconnections need to be done and customized according to buyers' needs. And as the network converts to operational, we expect opportunities to close and usage to accelerate on the network. And that's where the $377 million that you see there reflects the demand that's identified today, interest today in the network. We expect that to grow, and then we expect to close on that as the network becomes operational. With that, unless there's questions from the committee, I will hand this over to my partner, Matt Antonin, to discuss tribal relationships.
Thanks, Eric. And thank you all for having me today. So I've been on the project for over 4 years now, and I've had many hundreds, if not 1,000 conversations with 109 tribes around the Middle Mile Broadband Network. It's been an opportunity to learn from the tribes and understand their needs in relation to the MMBN, being able to share options to interact with and be a part of the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative and connect to the network have been very productive. Next slide, please. So tribal partnerships. Represented here are the 5 joint build tribes working with CDT on Middle Mile Broadband Initiative, a first of its kind. The Hoopa Valley tribe, is the first listed there and is showcased as the first tribe to actually build infrastructure for the state of California in history, and setting an opportunity to expand and engage and open the door for other tribes to do the same. So there's 4 other tribes there. So 5 tribes have built a portion of this network and are partners in this process and aligned with their projects that are serving their own communities. Additionally, we have 3 tribes where crucial hut placements are ending up on actual tribal trust land because it's a strategic point in the network to locate that piece of infrastructure, the critical piece of infrastructure, as Eric was mentioning. And we've built partnerships with these 3 tribes to be able to house that infrastructure there and to protect it for us and be sort of a steward of the network as well. So those are key points in the development of this. You can't do this without partners, and these tribes are definitely integral partners. Next slide, please. And then a wonderful early success of the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative was the opportunity to connect the first entity to the network and have that entity be a tribal community. The Bishop Paiute tribe was the perfect partner to work with. Their community was opened up for the hundreds of attendees, and it was an absolute success. It was a great event on the ground. They had a little showcase fair. There were Indian tacos, popcorn stand, a number of booths to engage their community as well as the state's representatives. And it was an overall success in turnup. Today, they are using that network connection actively, and they are building it throughout their network as they expand to their tribal homes. So a great piece of work. Additionally, more than 30 tribes developed plans to use the Middle Mile Broadband Network. 24 on-route tribes where the route actually crosses their trust land, and 11 off-route tribes are planning to complete a build-to project from their community across non-tribal land to get to the Middle Mile Broadband Network to be able to use it and take advantage of that. So very strategic partners in the process, and checking the box on the initial goals of the SB 156, where tribes are specifically mentioned as communities of need and communities of focus. So I'll leave it at that, and thank you, and return it to the chair for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rantanen. I think the commitment to continued real partnership as we enter this next phase come through loud and clear in your remarks, and of course those of Mr. Parsha and Mr. Hunsinger. And thank you, David, for those reflections on California's leadership on this topic and how we're inspiring states across the country with our efforts here. I want to acknowledge that Assemblymember Berner has joined. Thank you for joining. Are there any committee members who have questions for Mr. Monroe, Mr. Parsha, Mr. Hunsinger, or Mr. Rantanen?
Yep, we're on mute.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and I'm pleased to see that the MOU has been executed. It's a really important step for CDT, Skyline, and Golden State Next to formalize these rules and agreements. I was going to ask the people who were involved if they think the exercise was productive or useful in identifying areas where there might have been challenges and anything particularly that were sticking points in the process. So when we go forward and we maybe do something different again, that we're actually learning from our experiences.
I think Mr. Parsha, Mr. Hunsinger, this question might be to you. Sorry, Assemblymember, we're doing a bit of seat reconfiguration.
It's okay. I have a coffee being brewed in my office and over here. So if I go off, I'm just getting a coffee. I can hear you.
Yeah, to some of the comments I made earlier, the MOU process from a Skyline standpoint was pretty seamless and straightforward. Like I had mentioned before, I believe that GSN, CDT are working together and are putting a lot of energy and commitment into, providing the best infrastructure possible and making sure that not only we're held to account, but setting us up for success. And I felt that throughout the process with GSN and with CDT. So it felt pretty seamless to us. I don't know if I answered your question. I was trying to.
Did you identify any places that were overlap between the two?
Not that I could see in terms of this. I think it's great that we have a third-party administrator that's focused on making sure that our operational approach and model meets the direct needs of California, which I think is great. And working in partnership with GSN and CDT will ensure that you all get the best level of operational support possible. So I didn't see any on our side, Assembly Person.
Yes, this is Eric Hunsinger with GSN. One of the areas that I think was most beneficial was CDT established a in-person meeting to sort of review the relationship between all parties. I think it was very effective in identifying potential areas of overlap. There are, and from GSN's perspective, we don't see anything that is duplicative. Actually, CDT has been very clear. We've drawn boundaries of responsibilities. There's some oversight, which we'll be working with CDT on to report out and to manage and maintain the network. CDT will have that authority, but we'll work with them on key indicators that are typical in the commercial space. In addition to that, GSN has responsibility for interacting with commercial clients. So we're actively driving the value there in the commercial space for the network. So there's really no overlap. We'll be working directly with Skyline as we have those opportunities become revenue for the state. And so we'll work with them to ensure viability, and then whatever teaming requirements are needed, we'll actively solve any of those issues that come up. But it's been, as Mr. Parsons noted, it's been pretty seamless from our perspective.
That's great news. Thank you both.
Well, and thank you, Assemblymember Berner. I think, this suggestion might have originated in your office, and it certainly has been a great opportunity for us as CDT to really bring everyone to the table and assess where there were boundaries to be drawn. And so this has been very helpful, and I appreciate it. Other questions from any committee members?
No additional hands raised.
Okay. Our next update will be from Ms. Shea, Regional Business Manager for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Shea, and I'm the Regional Business Manager for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative. Today, I will be providing an update on MMBI's coordination on FFA last mile projects. Next slide, please. Since the last MMAC, our MMBI Customer Solutions team has continued our engagement and coordination with the 65 federal funding account last mile projects that intend to connect to the network. As part of this coordination, we've been working closely with FFAs to understand when and how the FFA awardees want to connect and align this with the middle mile. A significant update since our last MMAC is that the CDT has recently finalized our master service agreement for dark and lit fiber, and since late June began sharing this MSA to interested FFA grant recipients. As of today, we have now executed agreements with FFA grantees to support eight FFA projects. This is a tremendous milestone that represents the commitment between both MMBI and the FFA grant recipients to bring high-speed internet to unserved and underserved communities. This MSA also allows us to move past the planning stage and into the implementation stage with customers. In upcoming weeks, we expect more MSAs to be signed between CDT and FFA recipients, which will allow us to begin submitting service orders to Skyline to start activating services when those FFA projects are ready. This concludes my updates. I did want to introduce our next speaker, Hector De La Torre, the Executive Director of Gateway Cities Council of Governments. Not only has Gateway Cities received an FFA grant to build a fiber optic network, they are also a joint build partner with MMBI. He'll be sharing some exciting updates on this project.
Thank you very much. If you can put up the first slide. There's only 3 of them, so don't worry about it. Don't worry that it's... So Gateway Cities, well, it's coming up. The last time I spoke to this committee wasn't so great. It was right after some decisions had been made to make adjustments to the grantees because of budget cuts, and we were left out initially. But I appreciate that this committee, CDT, saw fit to give us a second chance. And here we are 15 months later with the update I'm about to present to you. So our project is, I think, a little more complex than others because there's a significant CDT portion and a significant FFA portion. All in one. Combined, it's $104 million to put together our regional fiber network. Our sources are the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative and the Last Mile Federal Funding Account. We are connecting 24 city halls with bidirectional lines for redundancy. If you've ever worked with one city, you know what a pain it is to get 24 of them to act collectively. It's over 120 route miles, about 75% underground, about 25% aerial. What we're going to deliver at the end of the day, and you well know this, it's your technology, 10 gigabytes per second upload and download speeds for end users, which you just cannot get anywhere else. And so our cities are extremely excited. You can think about plans, other documents that they receive from developers, for example, engineering drawings. All of this stuff is very high capacity files that are being shared with cities. So for them to be able to interact at these levels of speeds and this capacity is a game changer. This project will be completed by December of 2026, which will be 15 months. To do everything I just described in 15 months is pretty amazing, and it hasn't been smooth sailing. We've had some reimbursement issues. We've had some aerial issues, which still are not resolved. Hopefully in a couple of weeks they will be. We've just had everything thrown at us, and every challenge we've met with the collaboration of CDT, with the collaboration of the PUC, we've just knocked them out. Every time there's some barrier, we take care of it. And so it's a really amazing project. Nothing we've ever done even close to this, right? The previous high mark in dollar value for a project that the Gateway Cities COG had done was less than $30 million. So it's just a significant order of magnitude. No cost to our cities. And that's the hook that we have used throughout this process when they are being difficult, being short-sighted. We just keep reminding them, this is free to you. So the way I described it to my board members, to my city managers, is we're giving you a Ferrari. We're driving it to your house. We're putting it in your driveway. We're giving you the keys, and we're walking away. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to leave it there, or are you going to take it out for a spin? And so we want them to multiply the benefit within their communities to do this. And I'll talk a little bit more about that process at the end. Next slide. So I mentioned 24 cities. We've divided it into 5 construction phases. they were supposed to be sequential, but as you can see with the red cities on there that are completed, we haven't necessarily followed that process. Some of it is geography, some of it is ease of installation in some places versus others that we just went ahead. We are currently in 16 cities right now, this moment. We are constructing in 16 cities. You see there, 5 are done. There is no, they did their construction, they're finished. The underlined ones, underlined cities are somewhere between 90 and 100% complete. Overall, we're on the underground construction portion, we're 46.2% complete, 202,000 linear feet completed. We're just grinding away, getting the job done. There's a few cities that are still in permitting, but for the most part, we're just steadily moving along. We have regular check-ins with CDT staff, with PUC staff, and so we're in constant communication to make this happen. Next slide. This is what it looks like. You can see the orange lines are the middle mile portions. Then you can see all the connections are the city halls in every city. You also will see these kind of fuchsia boxes all over the place. Those are the FFA underserved communities that are going to be serviced. So we're doing both city halls for municipal government purposes, and we're doing these communities that are underserved according to the PUC, and we are hitting every single one that is in the Gateway Cities region. Just to give you a little sense, Gateway Cities has over 2 million residents. We're 5% of California, but we're 14% of the disadvantaged community census tracts. If there is a digital divide, it's here. Because of those characteristics, those demographics. So we're committed to doing both. On August 11th, we are hosting our second workshop with our cities to talk to them about what you do with the Ferrari. So we had a workshop back in February where we just gave them all the possibilities of what they could do with this network. In June, we did a survey of our cities to ask them, okay, out of all the stuff we told you, what are you interested in? So we're not wasting time. And that workshop on August 11th will be just the things that the cities have told us they're interested in doing. For example, citywide Wi-Fi towers to give Wi-Fi away for free to their communities. Not a lot of them are considering connecting all their residents just because of the cost and complexity of doing that. But they are thinking about how can they give free access to their residents in parks, in libraries, other city facilities where the community can access this network. They're also talking about commercial districts or industrial zones within their cities and bringing it there to give those businesses an economic advantage for being in this community. Instead of a disadvantage, it's an advantage to be in these communities. So there are a number of ideas floating around out there. We're going to present on them. Also grant opportunities. A lot of these cities are low-income cities. They're not going to be able to pay for this. So grant opportunities will make all the difference. We are also wrapping up negotiations with our internet service provider. When this thing is lit at the end of the year, then the fun begins. So we are wrapping up that negotiation. We are also going to, we have a plan for governance. Each of our 24 cities will be a co-owner of the network. It won't be the COG. And so those 24 cities will, with the ISP, figure out what they want to do going forward. But the cities themselves will decide what happens within their city jurisdiction. December is the deadline. CDT has been gracious to give us an extension if we need it till March, which is fine. We did just last week submit an extension request to the PUC. Now, because that has to be approved at the federal level, we are not counting on it. Our assumption is this thing has to be done in December, and it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do one without the other. So we are expecting to complete both by December. So that's the project. Again, thank you for your faith in us. I think we have delivered on that in spades, and really proud of everything we've been able to accomplish, even with various headwinds, as I said.
You are absolutely delivering. It's always fantastic to hear about how meaningful this investment is for the end user. So thank you, Mr. De La Torre, for your advocacy and partnership in serving your community. And we are eager, as I know are you, first to see what happens when you take your Ferrari out for a spin. So thank you for being with us today. Do any committee members have questions about Ms. Shea or Mr. De La Torre's updates? Hearing none. We will. There's one.
Yes, thank you, Hector, for that really great presentation. And I hope everybody who's maybe watching on Zoom really pays attention to the work that he and his team have done. On Friday, June 26th, Assemblymember McKenna, Assemblymember Gonzalez, and I were able to go out with Hector and Secretary Maduros and to South Los Angeles for a tour of the Middle Mile construction, which is like, we talk about a lot of these things, and the operators and the third-party administrator, I think, are very clear about what this investment looks like on the ground. It's something I've said since I joined this committee, that we're digging up roads and we're doing things, and it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of infrastructure. And even I, who I think has an appreciation for that, did not appreciate it until Hector took us out. And I was like, this is a lot of digging up roads and figuring out utilities. And so I want to thank CDT, DevOps, the Gateway Cities Councils of Governments for coordinating that tour. It was really informative for me and my colleagues, and we all came back to Sacramento talking about it. And we also had a chance to see the huts along the highways and active construction zones. You know, I think this is probably going to be the best in the nation, if not best in the world, use of public funds for a middle last mile. The business model that the gateway cities have put together will make it sustainable. And you all know I always worry about the financial sustainability of these investments. And so I just want to, again, give a shout out to what you've been able to accomplish, how CDT and CPUC has worked together for really serving an underserved community, and it will have lasting impacts for generations. So well done. I know it wasn't an easy road, and Hector opened up and said, we were here going, oh my God, you have to do this. Well, we got it done, and now it's going to be really great. And I can't wait to go back in a year and see how all the cities are using it, all the public benefits we're going to give to the families, the residents, the businesses in that area who haven't seen that type of investment. So just huge kudos. I really appreciate the tour. I really appreciate all your work, Hector, and the entire team.
Thank you, Assembly Member.
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you, Mr. De La Torre. Thank you, Ms. Shea. And we will continue with CDT updates with Mr. Martin Guzman.
Thank you, Chair. There's a lot of exciting progress taking place across the program, and we're racing to the finish line to wrap up network development so that more services can be afforded to the unserved and underserved residents of California as soon as possible. Today, we will be providing an overview of network development across the 5 regions of California while highlighting the routes that are ready to offer services. Next slide, please. All right, I'd like to start with some installation updates. First, I'd like to highlight the increase from 423 to over 1,200 miles in the Ready to Connect phase. As you can see on the slide, we have a continuous route that starts in the Bay Area, runs through Los Angeles, and up Highway 395 to the Oregon border. I would also like to highlight the significant decrease in pre-construction miles, moving from a little over 2,000 to about 1,500 miles. This is a promising sign, as it signifies that more miles have moved to construction. The next item I would like to highlight is the significant increase in huts that have moved to the installation phase. Over 30 new locations have commenced construction since the last MMAC meeting, which means that we have 50 sites that are actively being built as this meeting has taken place. Now let's look at the network from a regional perspective. Next slide, please. First, we have Region 1, the northern region, which contains over 2,700 miles and 50 huts. This region has Highway 395 running through it, containing 198 miles and 2 huts that are ready to connect now. The number of pre-construction miles have decreased by 72, but there are still few routes that have yet to commence construction. This is driven by the region being heavy in both cultural and environmental resources and multiple routes traversing through federal lands. This region has also increased installation miles by 152 and began construction on an additional 10 hut sites since the last MMAC meeting. Next slide, please. Next, we have Region 2, the capital region, which consists of almost 1,700 miles and 26 huts. In this region, there are 290 miles and 15 huts in the pre-construction phase, and over 1,100 miles in the installation phase, which is an increase in 84 miles. This region is dense with U.S. Forest Services land, which is where a majority of the pre-construction miles reside. In addition, we now have 218 miles that are ready to connect, which is an increase of 41 miles since the April MMAC. This region also contains 4 huts that are installed with electronics and operating now, and another 7 that are in active construction. Next slide, please. Here we have Region 3, the Central Valley region. This region has over 1,900 miles and 27 huts. We are in the pre-construction phase on 490 miles, active construction on 430 miles, have completed 593 miles, and have 465 miles and 4 huts that are ready to offer services. In addition, this region has 10 hut sites in active construction, while the remaining 13 are in the pre-construction phase. With over 75% of the region either ready to connect or in the installation phase, this region is close to having all fiber and conduit installed, with huts following closely behind. Next slide, please. This is Region 4, the Los Angeles region. Within this region, we have a total of 618 miles and 9 huts. Of these miles, 132 are ready to connect, 384 are in the installation phase, and only 102 remain for pre-construction. In addition, all 9 hut sites in this region are in active construction, with new milestones being hit every week. As Mr. De La Torre reported, the program is making great progress in the gateway cities of Los Angeles as well, and striving to have those routes ready to connect by the end of this year. Next slide, please. And for the final regional update, we have Region 5, the southern region, with over 1,200 miles and 24 huts. This region contains 166 miles and 1 hut that are ready to connect now, and also has 448 miles of construction complete, active construction on 541 miles and 10 huts, and wrapping up pre-construction on the remaining 107 miles and 13 huts. As displayed on the map, you can see that most of the region is in active construction, with only a couple routes in the pre-construction phase. These routes are wrapping up their environmental work and plan to have shovels in the ground by end of summer. And in closing, the Middle Mile Broadband Network is at a point where we are operating, building, and wrapping up pre-construction concurrently. The program continues to hit key milestones every week, which gets us closer to bringing the full vision of Senate Bill 156 to reality. As the year progresses, new routes will be ready to connect, sales in the pipeline will come to fruition, making this a sustainable network for decades to come. That concludes my updates for today, and thank you.
Really fantastic update. Do any committee members have questions about Mr. Martin Guzman's update? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Martin Guzman.
Thank you.
Next, we will turn over to our next update will be on middle mile stakeholder engagement from Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you again. A brief summary on our quarterly stakeholder engagement meetings. Next slide, please. I do want to start out with just a teeny bit of background for Member Binns and others who may be new. Stakeholder engagement meetings started around 2 years ago, and they really were driven to support better transparency and engagement from advocates and partners on the ground. Really proud of our partners, members from PUC, staff from Caltrans, and our own program staff at CDT. You will see as I get down into some of the further slides how this has really transformed the experience. And as you heard from Mr. De La Torre, some time ago, it was a little frustrating for some of our partners, and I think we have really turned the tide, and that is evidenced today. Stakeholder engagement meetings are a complement to regular meetings and communications that the program teams have with partners on the ground. They help increase transparency, and the feedback we receive is taken very seriously. Stakeholders have informed actual changes in how we operate, how we update our website, and things we have improved on our interactive map online. Next slide, please. Here's our attendance readout from our last meeting that was on May 1st. And in looking at that, you might ask, is interest waning? That's a kind of odd ratio for a stakeholder list to how many folks are attending. That, as I mentioned, I think is really driven by the change in relationships that Caltrans, the PUC, and CDT have established with our partners, and that public transparency that has improved online as well. Folks now have personal contacts that they can reach out to when they need a quick answer or they have a question. Again, a major shift from what folks were experiencing 2 years ago. Next slide, please. Here's some qualitative feedback we've heard. Key themes in our meeting we hear consistently are questions about affordability of the last mile. So how are communities going to be able to pay if we are really talking about economic opportunity? What position or what standards could be placed or what guidance can be placed to really ensure affordability is there? And we had questions about the federal funding account grantee communities and if they will be incentivized to tap into the middle mile, or simply is that a factor of the market pricing? We also had questions on operation timelines and long-term financial projections of the overall network. And then we had questions, which you heard Mr. Parsha address today as well, on Skyline's California employee footprint and local staffing. Again, I'm really proud of the transition that's happened over the last 2 years. I'm very grateful for our partners and stakeholders who may have had some challenging experiences, but are in there for their community and have put the faith in us to continue working with them. That concludes my comments, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do any committee members have questions about Mr. Hernandez's update? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item, we're going to turn things over to our friends at Caltrans. Elias Garam and Ong Meng, if you would take it from here.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Given, committee members, and others from the public. My name is Elias Graham, Program Director for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative at Caltrans. I appreciate the opportunity to provide a progress report on Caltrans' efforts to advance California's Middle Mile Broadband Network. Next slide, please. So today's update will focus on two primary areas, the Caltrans build and the issuance of encroachment permits for the CDT partner builds. Next slide, please. I'll first be providing a status on the Caltrans build, which includes two main components. The design and construction of 302 miles of the middle mile fiber infrastructure along the state highway right-of-way, and the design of over 100 network huts. Next slide, please. This slide highlights Caltrans' responsibility for the delivery of 302 miles of the middle mile fiber infrastructure. Of the 302 miles that are ready to construct, 162 miles are currently under active construction, and 140 miles have been fully constructed. We remain on schedule to construct all Caltrans miles by the end of this year. Next slide, please. In addition to the fiber installation, Caltrans is tasked with designing the network huts. As shown on this slide, all huts have successfully passed through the quality review and preliminary design phases and are now ready to be constructed by CDT. Next slide, please. At this time, I'd like to turn this presentation over to my colleague, Ong, who will provide us an update on the CDT partner encroachment permits. Thank you.
Thank you, Elias. Good morning, Chair Given, committee members, and others from the public. My name is Al Mong, Caltrans MMBN Joint Build Permit Liaison. Next slide, please. Today, I will be providing an update on the status of partner builds encroachment permits. Next slide. I'd like to start the high-level summary of MMBN encroachment permits. As Caltrans collaborates with CDT on partner builds, we anticipate about 3,400 miles of middle-mile broadband network to be installed on state right-of-way. As of July 13, we received encroachment permit applications for 3,116 miles. Different stages of anticipated and submitted permit miles are shown in a horizontal sequence across the slide. We are pleased to report that of the 3,116 miles submitted application, Caltrans has issued encroachment permits for 2,108 miles, as shown on the right side of the slide. As we recall, total permitted miles reported at the April MMEC was 1,555 miles. So more than 550 miles were issued since last MMEC. I'd like to acknowledge the significant and sustained efforts of our partners, CDT and Caltrans teams, in achieving this progress. Caltrans is actively assisting our partners to complete the design and the environmental studies of the 1,009 miles of the permit currently in progress. In addition, we have received preliminary applications for 200 miles. These preliminary submittals include only general project information, such as county route mileage of the anticipated application. They have not yet been formally submitted. The data that presented today are from Caltrans encroachment permit system, also referred to as CEPS. Next slide, please. This chart shows the month-by-month progress of the MMBM encroachment permits from March 2025, going from left to right. Each bar represents the cumulative miles at different stages of the permit process. Miles with issued encroachment permits are shown in dark blue on the top. Miles associated with permits currently in progress are shown in yellow in the middle. Miles for the anticipated applications are shown in light pink at the bottom. Next slide, please. This slide presents the encroachment permit miles and the status by our partner. Focusing on the chart on the right side of the slide, our partners are listed alphabetically, and the horizontal bar represents the distribution of miles across the permit process, consistent with the format shown in the previous slide, which is mile issued in dark blue, miles in progress are in yellow, miles, anticipated miles are in light pink. We anticipate that the remaining miles for American Dark Fiber and Arcadian, the top two, will be issued by September. I also like to note that the remaining miles for CVIN are located on the route with significant cultural and biological resources, which require additional studies and avoidance design. CDT and Caltrans are working very closely with our partner to find creative solutions and to provide enhanced support to meet CDT operational and implementation schedule for the network. Next slide, please. This slide, using the same layout and the format, presents the number of encroachment permit applications by partner for the miles presented in the previous slide. Of the 748 total permits received, which is shown shown below the pie chart on the left, Caltrans has issued 583 permits, so it's about 80% of the permits submitted have been issued. Next slide, please. This chart shows the encroachment permit miles issued in each of the previous 3 years, going from left to right, as well as the current year. We have issued 1,060 miles in 2026 as of July 13th. Lastly, we would like to thank this committee, our agencies for your leadership and the support helping us achieving the program's implementation goals, and really much appreciated. This concludes our Caltrans update.
Thank you, Mr. Mong. It's clear that Caltrans has been able to sustain the permit progress that you made, and that's really fantastic to hear. Are there any committee members who have questions for Mr. Karam or Mr. Mong? Thank you again, Caltrans. And our final update before we hear public comments is from Maria Ellis of the Public Utilities Commission.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Maria Ellis. I am the Director of Broadband Initiatives at the California Public Utilities Commission, and I'm going to be providing an update on our last mile program, or our last mile programs specifically. Next slide. We always start with an overview of our programs and some of the ones that we administer at the CPUC. I'm going to be talking about the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, which is a federal program, shortly. The next in line here is the California Advanced Services Fund, which is actually a suite of several different programs. It has 6 nested underneath that banner. I have several great updates to provide there when we move on to those slides. Next is the Loan Loss Reserve Program, and I do want to provide an important update here. This program is meant to help, is initially designed to do a variety of things. When it was first launched, we went with the bond financing approach, but we have since also expanded it to do the other parts of the program that were originally eligible, which includes loans. So we have $50 million available, and the Commission earlier this month on July 2nd approved Resolution 17925, which updates the guidelines to reflect these new, the ability to do what we're calling direct loans. This makes it available to tribes, joint powers authorities, local governments, and nonprofits. And basically, we could do what are called bridge loans as well. There is a section of the updated rules that allows a streamlined, expedited process for existing to approve bridge loans for existing last mile awardees. And that could be done through a ministerial process in the communications division. They're small loans, they're not big loans. It's only a $50 million pot, but the idea there is that these bridge loans can support grantees as they are building their projects from the last mile or other programs. And since most of these programs are based on reimbursement, it would allow them to have a little bit of additional cash flow. Next is the federal funding account. This is a nearly $2 billion one-time investment by the state that supports a lot and is part of our partnership here with you all at CDT to support investments in last mile connections. The CPUC has made around 122 grants totaling around $1.23 billion so far, because that's more or less what we have appropriated currently. There could be future application rounds if the remaining $550 million is appropriated for this program, which would allow us to continue to make awards to the counties up to their allocations. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, what we call the BEAD program, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, is a federal program. We submitted our final proposal to the federal government, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, in December of last year. We are still waiting for approval of our final proposal. The state has undergone several rounds of curing, what is called curing, which is a process that the NTIA uses to indicate changes that they would like to see in our proposal. We've gone through several rounds and have completed those rounds and are just eagerly awaiting our approval so that we could then bring the revised final proposal, which includes all of the subgrantees and awards, to the commission for ratification, and then we can move forward with entering into grant agreements. We'll keep you posted. Next slide. I'm going to pivot over to the California Advanced Services Fund again and talk first about the infrastructure grant account. We had our last round of infrastructure grant account applications, which funds, in the title, infrastructure for broadband, closed on October 31st of last year. And we had a few months, we've been adjudicating those awards. We received approximately 41 proposals, grant requests totaling around $424 million. And we've started to, the commission has started, the CPUC staff has started to make recommendations to the commission about awards. Several have gone through resolution and the approval process at the commission already, and several are also out on the street right now for public comment. In total to date, we've got around, here on the bottom right hand side, you'll see that, you'll see the projects here is listed, but in total, we've got around $141 million worth of grants that have been made to date. These are 14 projects that will serve around 3,300 locations. And a lot of these locations, if you can see on the map, these are the highlighted ones that are getting proposed for award. But the ones that have been awarded are often in areas that are hard to reach. The terrain is particularly rough. They're often very sparse in terms of locations being more spread out. And so these are harder to reach areas, and we're really grateful that we have this program to be able to reach these locations with these 14 projects. In addition to that $141 million that has already been approved by the commission, there are also some resolutions out on the street currently for public comment that could be considered by the commission as early as August 13th during that voting meeting that would approve another $24 million in grants from this account. So this is the largest in total grant round that we've ever done under this program in its history. So it's been a lot of work, but the team is really excited to be able to help these communities. In addition to the infrastructure grant account, there are 3 other grant programs that had cycles that just closed. The Tribal Technical Assistance Program had a deadline that closed on July 1st. We're in the process of evaluating those proposals. And then we'll also be the resolution that approves the budget is also being considered and sets the budget for this coming year. Next slide. So other things that are happening in CISF is the Regional Broadband Consortia account. On the top left corner is the slide is a summary of the changes that were made to this account in a recent decision from last year. This decision authorized 3 new regional tribal consortia, expanded the consortia account scope, and to include activities such as BEAD, and also streamlined some administrative requirements. On June 11, 2026 of this year, the commission approved 6 new consortias, regional consortias for up to $3.4 million, and those consortias cover in total around 16 counties in the state. These consortia support the development of broadband projects within their community. They help with to kind of gin up some applications that help connect areas that maybe are unserved or underserved. And then they help with mapping and permitting or anything that kind of helps support those applications once they're awarded. Also want to note on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see a QR code to a recent tribal consortia workshop that we've done. So while the decision approved the creation of 3 new tribal consortia, which is not something we've had before, those applications for those consortia have not yet opened. What we're doing is up to 3 workshops throughout the state to allow tribes to kind of give us some feedback about how we should be establishing those, if there are things that we can modify within the decision that helps make it easier for them, to also provide information and assistance as needed to help them think about how they would want to structure these consortia. We, based on the decision, we are to open a grant round or open the solicitation for these consortia by the end of the year. It doesn't mean that we have to make a decision by that time, but we just want to be able to open the round by the end of this year. And these workshops that we're doing from now to the end of the year are in service of helping us understand how to do that in a way that is most conducive to the tribes. So our first one that we had was Chico with the Mechoopda tribe. And if you go to this QR code, you can find out more. That happened earlier this week, and over 50 people attended. Next slide. So we're continuing to hit more records here in the California Advanced Services Fund. The adoption account received 154 applications. So the adoption account helps with digital literacy and training, which is critical to keeping people safe and both be able to use the internet and broadband in an effective way for their everyday life, but also keeping them safe online. And this account received 154 applications for the January 2026 application round. And that is not even, which is a record in itself. And then July came around and we broke that record again. And from this large batch of the January applications, the CPUC has approved 11.2 million for 114 applications. And these are smaller, more targeted, engaged projects that work with very niche communities. And so they're generally smaller in size in terms of dollar value, but extremely impactful. Here on the slide, you can see what those 114 adoption accounts we're doing by type, specifically digital literacy or broadband access and call centers. And then these are just some pictures of some of our projects and our grantees, and the work that they have done. I want to call out the one on the upper left side, which was taken in Santa Barbara County. This is folks displaying their digital literacy course completion certificates. This was done with Partners in Education for Computers for Families, and they serve families that are experiencing low income, and they focus on rural communities that speak Spanish or Mestizo speaking households. So it's, again, niche communities, but extremely helpful for those that are getting an opportunity to go through the courses provided through the adoption account. Staff is currently reviewing the adoption account applications that we received as part of the July 2026 application round, which again, like I mentioned previously, broke another record from January. We received 160 applications. And so in total, the CPUC this year has received 314 applications for this one program, which again is a record for this small program. Next slide. So I want to finish off here by doing a spotlight on our last mile program with the city of Fort Bragg and their Fort Bragg Gig project. This project is also in partnership with MMBN, so you all know this project probably very closely, but we're really thrilled to be able to be seeing the the last mile portion of this project continuing to come to life. This community received $10.3 million from the last mile federal funding account. And before that, though, it also received nearly $500,000 in local agency technical assistance funding, which was really foundational in helping them design and think about their plan and what they wanted to accomplish before they applied for an FFA grant. And before MMBN was really there, they were trying to design what would that future look like for them. And so it's a really interesting story of how early assistance on the technical assistance side helps create the plan and the vision for the community. And then both us as partner agencies being able to both provide the last mile funding and the backhaul connection that is critical to reach kind of hard to reach areas such as these. On this slide, you'll see the red line represents the underground fiber distribution system installation that is currently underway. Again, you're probably very familiar with this, but we're really excited to see it. Once this is complete, this project will benefit approximately 7,000 people and bring high-speed internet connections to about 2,500 locations. And then one of the things that I think is particularly great about this project is that it's not leaving anyone behind. The city of Fort Bragg, this is the most important part of this project in my mind, is that the city of Fort Bragg is deploying gigabit speed broadband infrastructure to every home, business, public safety location and anchor institution in their community. And that is huge and is going to be able to have a huge impact on that community moving forward. So I want to leave that on a high note. I'm happy to take questions. That's all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis, and thank you for sharing Fort Bragg's story with us today. Are there any committee members who have questions for Ms. Ellis? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comments. Ms. Alvarado, would you please provide the public comment guidelines and begin the public comment?
Thank you, Chair. In order to ensure everyone who wishes to make public comment has the opportunity to do so, we respectfully request one person per entity and 2 minutes per person. The order of public comment will be online public comment submissions prior to the meeting, comments in the room, Zoom hands raised, and phone hands raised via *9. We have not received any emailed comment submissions prior to our meeting, so we will start with public comments in the room and then via Zoom. Not seeing any public comments in the room, we will move to Zoom. And we have our first comment. Mr. Patrick Messick, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Chair and members of the Council. My name is Patrick Messick. I want to take a moment to thank CDT for the work it's doing in partnership with communities throughout the state to bring the Middle Mile network online. In Oakland's Flatlands specifically, CDT is actualizing the promise of the state's transformative infrastructure investments, extending service into communities bypassed for far too long. The well-worn path of decades past left tens of thousands of East Bay residents offline, but CDT is trailblazing a new path forward. I especially want to thank Mackenzie Shea, Caltrans, and the CDT programs team. This is not business as usual. The state has been responsive, collaborative, and most importantly, willing to problem solve with us instead of just pointing to process. As the gateway cities and Mackenzie's flooded inbox, sorry about that, Mackenzie, can probably attest to, nothing about this work is easy, but transformative work is rarely easy. For the Middle Mile network to deliver on its public purpose, local governments and community partners need CDT at the table in this exact way. So I want to express my deep appreciation and encourage CDT to keep building this kind of partnership with local last mile efforts across the state. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Are there any further comments?
Chair, there are no additional, oh, I'm so sorry. Sarah, please unmute.
Good afternoon, Chair and board members. I was really inspired by that last speaker's comment. I work for the city of Fort Bragg, working diligently on the last mile connection and in partnership with CDT for the middle mile connection. And I just wanted to echo the collaborative spirit of this entire process and thank everybody for just really problem solving. This definitely is not easy, and we're really proud of the efforts to date and look forward to bringing people online.
Really fantastic to hear. Thank you.
Chair, there are no additional public comments. Back to you.
Thank you. Would any committee member like to make additional comments before we close the meeting? All right, seeing none, thank you to the committee members, presenters, and attendees for their contributions today. Thank you, as always, to the team at CDT, at Caltrans, CPUC, Golden State Net, Skyline, our tribal partners, local governments, providers, and stakeholders. Assemblymember Berner and one of the public comments emphasized this work is not easy, and so we very much appreciate all the hard work that you have put in over the past years. Our next meeting is Friday, October 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. With that, we will adjourn the meeting. We look forward to seeing everyone in October. Thank you so much.